So I'm gonna just say this just now before I like get super into it. I'm not like a fucking specialist at anything or like anything at all like that shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a pro at anything, but I'm just here and I learned some shit. And I think my shit's pretty cool once you learn it too. So I've decided to fucking he looks like an Alex. He looks so much like an Alex. Look at this fucking Alex. Anyways, I've decided to just give it a go. Give it a whirl. Talk about fucking... What am I talking about? Yeah. We'll talk about philosophy today, alright? So, I've been learning about fucking philosophy, and... Why can't I fucking drag this shit? This is fucked up. I drag my duck over it? Oh my god, I drag my duck to the energy. This is fucking wild. So basically, I've been learning about Taoism, and I don't know too much about it, but I watched Kung Fu Panda, and I was like, that shit's profound. So I decided to learn a lot about that shit recently, and I'm gonna tell you what I've learned, alright? So basically, like, the thing is, you basically am like, yo, shit's too complicated, just stop thinking, you know? Because a lot of times, problems solve themselves, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we're at the fucking, a thing I like to think about when I think about Taoism is I think about fantastic beasts and where to find them. You know, fuck J.K. Rowling and stuff, but like, I think about her from time to time. What am I doing? Okay, I need to start training my duck. Where the fuck is this? My running coach? Yeah. Let me train this guy. I need to run. Yeah. So I think about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and it was an okay movie, but there was this one quote from Newt, and Jacob was like fighting this giant fucking beast, this giant leviathan, you know, and he was like, this shit's scary, and Newt was just not panicking. He's like, don't trip, homie, I got it under control. And Jacob was like, what the fuck you mean you got it under control? That's a giant beast, are you not scared? And he's like, why don't you worry? And he's like, man, if I worry like you, that means is I'm gonna have to suffer twice if I lose. You know? Like, I've learned that a lot of times, and this is common with someone with severe anxiety, I would be like fucking, you know, just about to order some food, just thinking about all the ways in which life will just fuck me over, you know? Just thinking about everything. And then I order the food and I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. And now I have food. And I'm like, fuck yeah. But like, in my mind, I was like, the waiter's gonna cuss me out and it's gonna end my life. And I thought, like, if I revealed anything outside of the normal, like, way of being, like, my entire life will get ruined and I'll never be the same. Like, this one time was fucking embarrassing. I was with my family and, like, this was so embarrassing. I ordered an omelet and they were like, what toast do you want? And by the way, it was like 4 in the morning. And I was just like, I don't know, fucking French toast. And they made fun of me for like years after that, years to come. I was with my family from Texas, and they're still making fun of me for that shit. You know, they were like, haha, French toast. I'm like, chill the fuck out. It wasn't that funny. But like, I was worried that like, if I said something stupid like the French toast thing ever again, my whole life will get ruined and I'll never get a job, I'll never be happy, shit like that, you know what I mean? And it's just not the case. Like, in reality, it's just not the case. And like, Taoism is or I think it's Taoism, I'm not entirely sure, but the shit I've been learning about is just like, yo, sometimes you just think life's bad, and then life's not too bad, and you're like, damn, life's not too bad. Like, the way they interpret it, or the way they put it, is like, imagine you're like, fuck. Imagine you're on a river, and life is like, yo, I don't want to fucking, I don't want to do this one, because then that means keyboard, and then I'll go clickety-clackety, you know, and that would ruin the audio, then that's fucked up. But imagine you're on a river, and like, the river is going one way. A lot of people think you have to defy that river, swim upstream your whole life and shit, and just be like, yo, I'm gonna defy the odds, and no matter what, I'm gonna fucking destroy everything, you know what I mean? And like, most of the time, Taoism's just like, yo, just swim with the river, it's easier. And like, a lot of times, nature just fucking works itself out. Oh, I'm definitely losing this race. Fuck that. But you know what I mean? Like something I think about a lot is the fact that one of the funniest things to me is I'm a boy that lives in California. I'm a little California boy. I'm a little dirty little Cali native. And one of the scariest things to me being a Cali boy is fires, you know? Because there's fires fucking everywhere. There's just fire everywhere. It's a bloody mess. I live in actual hell, you know? And like sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh, I think the world's ending. Nope, it's just on fire, which I guess is the same thing. But then you gotta realize that like most of the fucking fires that like the biggest fire in California. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because this like impending doom that's happening upon my duck is kind of stressful sometimes. But the biggest fire in California was caused as a residue from all the shit that we tried to do, that we tried to use to prevent fires. You know what I mean? Like all that fire preventative, that shit was the residue from that shit was the thing that caused the biggest fire in California. And Taoism is just like, yo, that fire might destroy your house, but you gotta let it burn and it will go out eventually, because nature's gonna take its course whether you like it or not, and that shit's gonna suck. But it's not that bad. And something I'm like thinking about is I was watching this one guy, I don't remember his name. If I ever remember, I'll like shout him out in the description of this video. But I was watching this one YouTuber who was like, yo, how do you get through the hard parts in life? Like, your fucking wife dies. Imagine that shit. Your wife fucking dies. How do you get through that shit? Because at the time, it seems like the worst thing you will ever imagine. And it probably will be the worst thing you can ever imagine. And it probably will be one of the worst things you could ever go through. But eventually, it gets okay. And you're like, how is that? Well, when you're a kid, and this is something that resonated with me, because I've been through a lot of hard shit, and I'm somehow still here. But like, when you're a kid, when you're a wee little toddler, you try to stand up for the first time, and you fall on your butt. And that's the worst pain you've ever felt in your life. That little booty bump from you standing up to falling is the worst fucking moment of your life. That right there is how bad life gets. That's the worst thing you've ever felt in your entire life. And that shit's fucking traumatic. And you're like, I'm never fucking standing up again. I'm never standing up again. This is the end of my life. That's the end of my standing career. I'm gonna just sit here on my little baby booty for the rest of my life. And then eventually, you stand up and walk. And then you grow up a bit. You think you're a big boy, and then you go on your first ever date. And when you go on that first date, you think you're in love with this girl. You know? You think she's the love of your life, and you're like, I'm gonna get married to this motherfucker. I'm gonna like, this is it. I'm gonna get married to this one motherfucker right here, and we're gonna live this entire life together. And that's all you could think about, you know? Actually, I want this one. That one. No, I'll get both. I'll get... Ooh, green bean? I want green bean? Fuck yeah. And you're like, yeah, this is the person I'm gonna live my entire life with. And then you realize you only fucking don't. you realize you only like fucking like that girl because you thought she was pretty and you didn't get fucking along at all. But for your first time ever, like dating someone, you thought you were gonna marry that shit. You know what I mean? You like dated her and you were like, this is it. This is my entire life right now. And that first breakup, that's fucking tragic, boys. Like that first breakup is insanity. You cry, you think your life's over. You're like, that was the love of my life. I'm never recovering from this. And then time goes on and you're like, thank God I broke up with that girl. She was fucking horrible and we did not get along at all. Like literally at all. In the slightest. I thought she had big boobies and I was like, this is what I'm gonna marry because this is the first girl to ever like think that I had attractive hair or something. I don't know. And I was like, your boobies and my hair, we could form a baby and start a life. But no, that's not how real life works. I'm just like, thank God that person broke up with me in a horrific way because, like, I've learned from that shit. And I learned, hey, man, I ignored a lot of red flags for those boobies. You know what I mean? Like, I learned I could get boobies, but also I don't have to put up with a bunch of abuse and a bunch of, like, red flags. And then you think back to it, and you think back about how that person used to be the love of your life, and you thought you were gonna marry that person, and you just fucking laugh, man. You just laugh your little ass off, and you're like, damn, I was such a silly little boy back then. How was that the worst moment of my life? You know, now I'm fucking fighting death. You know, I'm doing all this shit, and it's fucking horrific. But for a brief moment, that was the worst moment of my life, you know? And now it's like one of the defining things that like led me to be who I am today. And I'm like, I know what I want in a relationship, and I know like how to pursue it and healthy ways to pursue relationships because I've learned from that relationship and because I've learned from life, you know what I mean? And it's hard at the time, granted. Like, even if you're going through death and shit, like, that shit's hard because you're like, why the fuck is death even a thing? Like, it's just not good objectively. But even if you're going through death, you know, eventually you get over it and you're like, man, that shit was hard and it shouldn't have happened to me, but you know, I could learn from it, and now I'm a stronger human now because of that, you know? Life goes on. And then you come to realize something we in the business like to call the yin and the yang boys. That's the sexy stuff, the stuff I like talking about. Because the yin and yang is basically like, yo, to fucking build a muscle, you gotta tear that shit. You gotta rip that shit open and then it comes back stronger. You break a bone, it comes back stronger. You fucking see some mentally scarring shit and you're like, now I could deal with shit. But something that we also have to focus on is you have to heal it properly in order for it to come back stronger. Like, if you like go through a bunch of trauma, you're just gonna have PTSD, man. You're just gonna have a shit ton of PTSD, and that's not healthy. And you're just gonna be a weak little boy that's like scared of everything. But if you heal from that shit properly, you could be a big muscly boy with your brain. You know what I mean? Big brain muscly boy. Let's see if I can enter a race. Let's go here. Yeah. Ultimate Titans? Brave Cowboys. Oh my god, yeah, we're the Brave Cowboys. And then you become the big brain muscly boy because your brain is so calloused from all the horrific shit that you went through that now you could kind of go through horrific shit and it's not so bad. And you're like, damn, I thought this was the end of my life, but you know, I'm kind of strong now and I'm kind of a fucking baller now. But the important thing is to heal from it properly, alright? Because when you're healing a muscle, or when you're building a muscle, you get those strong big boy muscles from tearing it, you know? You break a bone and like tear a muscle and it comes back stronger. But something we also gotta realize is you can't break that bone and tear those muscles all the time. You also need 6 months of rest if you break a bone, and like at least a day's worth of fucking sleep if you tear a muscle, you know? One of the 3 pillars of fitness is eating, sleeping, and physical exercise, you know? And they're all equally important. You have to eat and sleep in order for the bone to heal, and you have to eat and sleep in order for the muscle to heal. And this is kind of stressful. Fuck. Alright, but anyways, eating and sleeping is as important as tearing the bone and fucking doing all the hard work. And that right there, baby, is the yin and the yang, you know? Because if you don't eat and sleep, then your bone just gets ripped, or your muscle gets ripped over and over again, and then you become weaker than if you did nothing. If you sat on the couch and did absolutely nothing, that's stronger than someone that just spent 12 hours in the gym non-stop and did not rest at once, because they're gonna get very, very sick, and they're gonna tear their muscles, and they're gonna become very, very weak. And something we don't realize is, yo, you gotta rest. Along with all that manly like force you exhibited, you also gotta rest and just take a moment, eat some healthy food, and just be like, alright, I'm gonna take care of myself, you know? And that's the yin and the yang. Another thing is like, yo, space. You see all these beautiful bright stars and you're like, that shit's dope as fuck. But also, ooh, I could race this guy. Yeah, let's fuck this guy up because he gives me coins, and I've been just doing this shit because I think my speed is sustainable, but I don't have enough energy, and this guy gives me coins, and I could buy energy with that. Yeah. Anyways, what the fuck was I even saying? Yeah, space. Like, we see all these stars, and all these like beautiful, beautiful planets and shit. And you're like, that's dope as shit. I love the stars. And me too, buddy. I fucking love the stars. But what we also don't realize is that in between those stars, in between those galaxies, in between everything that space has to offer, there's just a shit ton of nothing. You know what I mean? There's just like a shit ton of nothing. Like, you zoom out, planet, like, okay. Everyone knows, like, the fucking, between the moon and the earth, you could just, like, fit, like, all of the planets, you know? You could fit all of the planets and all that good shit, you know? And then you zoom in, and there's a nucleus inside an atom. Inside an atom, there's a nucleus and electrons floating around, you know? But like, there's space between the nucleus and the electrons, and that space gives us time to appreciate stuff. Because we like stuff. We're like, yo, I like having food, but if everything was solid, and if like there was no air for us to breathe, and it was just constant stuff and constant food, then we would just suffocate and fucking die, right? Right. So we have to appreciate nothing. Just like how we have to appreciate sadness in order to be happy, and we have to appreciate death in order to appreciate life. You know, it sucks, but that's the way it is. If we were never sad, would we ever be happy? I don't fucking know. And that's why, like, sometimes those poor people that are like, those poor people, why am I saying it like that? I'm one of them. But like, you know, sometimes you look at the happiest motherfuckers and they're dirt poor and they're just like, oh, yo, I just got a fucking apple tree. Now I'm eating a fucking apple. This shit's dope. And you're like, yeah, this shit is dope. And then you see those mentally unstable rich kids that have like everything and you're like, you have everything. Why the fuck are you sad? And they're like, I don't fucking know, because they can't explain it. And they're just having breakdowns left and right, and no one's listening to them because they're fucking rich, and life's just shit for them. Like, that's just a shitty thing. But then we look at them and we're like, fuck you. You don't have enough rights to say you're sad. You're fucking rich. And I used to think like that for a while because I was poor and shit hurts. But, you know, they're also struggling. And, like, I think it's because they don't have enough of, like, the bad shit to appreciate the good shit. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes people are like, what the fuck you be doing? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just looking at the stars. And they're like, don't you get bored? I'm like, nah, I fucking love it. That's because I've had a lot of bad shit. So, like, now I could look at the stars and be like, that shit's fucking beautiful. This is all I want to do. I just want to sit outside, cuddle with my little blankie, and just fucking look at shit. You know what I mean? And for some people, that's not enough. But for me, it is. And I just appreciate it, you know? And I think I could appreciate a lot of things without, like, having to overfuel my brain with fucking, like, TikTok and everything all at once, like, all the time. Because, like, I've been through a lot of shit, and I know, like, I think also because I've been through a lot of shit, I've learned patience, you know? And that's something you gotta learn. Also, I have ADHD, so I'm gonna switch through topics, like, a lot. I don't know if I have ADHD or autism, but it's one of them, you know? It's probably both. I don't know, man. But what was I saying? I don't fucking know. But yeah, I think, I think, like, patience is something you learn. And, like, you know, it's easy to say, like, sometimes you just gotta wait. And one of the teachings of Taoism is just to fucking wait, and sometimes life just revolves, like, it just figures itself out, you know? It might take a bit, but eventually it'll be okay. You know what I mean? So, like, it's like, I won the race. What the fuck? Wasn't there? Oh, there's 3. It's just, I thought that was like the ultimate race, but like it was the individual one. Oh, this one's still struggling. I might not. Look at this drip down motherfucker. Oh my god, this guy's just whooping my ass with all of his drip. Oh my, I'm so fucking. This guy just deserved to win. That shit's insane. What was I saying? I don't fucking know. Look at this goober. Look at this funky little goober. But yeah, I can appreciate. Oh, fuck, I still need to train my boys more? This is fucked up. But I could just, like, do a little bit of nothing every day, and I think I will be content, you know? And I think that's something I learned from, like, having everything forced on me since I was a child, you know? And now I'm just chilling. Now I'm just fucking chilling. And I think that all of that shit I went through as a child, you know, I don't know if you know this, but I went through a lot of shit as a child. A lot of shit. And all that shit I went through as a child, I don't think it was like there for any reason. Cause to like help myself cope with that, I used to think there was like a reason I went through all that, you know? Like I was like, in the beginning, which was the unhealthy way to solve life, I was just like, oh, I might just be a bad person, and that's why bad things are happening to me. And I don't think that's true. Well, obviously I don't think I'm a really bad person, but you know, I don't think anyone does. Or, you know, I have this thing where it's just like, yo, if you think you're a bad person, you're probably not. If you're like constantly like, I'm such a shit person, you're probably not. Because trust me, I've seen bad people and they don't think that way. But I don't think that way because I've evolved, I've learned, you know? What the fuck was I saying? Yeah, but anyways, so I think as a kid I was just like, I'm such a bad person, that's why I went through all that shit, you know? Because like, sometimes you're just like, why is there so much bad stuff? There has to be a meaning behind it, and sometimes there isn't. Sometimes life's just playing a little joke on you, and you're just like, what the fuck, life? I need answers, and life just laughs at you, and you're like, what the fuck, bro? No, I need to feed this guy. Fuck you. That's life right there. Life's a dick. Can I do anything other than run? Because I feel like I want to switch it up, but you know, that's how it be sometimes. Alright, let's train Donald up. But yeah, so sometimes life's just shit, and I think after, you know, me being like, I'm a bad person, that's why life happened like that, I'm like, no, the only redeeming quality about me is that all that trauma is there, and like that means that I could be a bad person, but it's okay because at least I had a sad life, and that's why I went through it. It was just like, for me, I was like, maybe the reason I went through that is just a get out of jail free card, so I could have shit life and complain about life, and everyone would be like, well, you got abused as a kid, so you know. But nah, man, that's not it either. Sometimes shit just happens for no reason, and you're like, fuck, that was unfortunate. But something I also learned is there's a lot of beauty that can come out of this pain, you know? Like, you gotta heal from that shit, and it takes time to heal. Like, man, I'm still healing right now, and I've been dealing with this shit since I was probably born. I don't know. I don't remember my childhood, but like, I imagine it was like more of the same, you know? So I've been dealing with this shit for a hot minute, and something you realize is once you deal with it, you could kind of make something really beautiful out of it. Or at least I can. I've helped a lot of people just being like, yeah, I know how you feel. And because I've been dealing with this shit for a while, I've been helping, I've been having, words are hard. Also, when you're focusing on like Little Red Robin Hood, Robin Hood, that's the one. Robin Hood just swirling through the mines, it gets hard to focus. But like, anyways, what the fuck was I saying, man? Yeah, sometimes, you know, because I've been through so much shit, I've been able to like relate to a lot of people. And when they have a lot of problems, most of the time I'm able to be like, yeah, I've had the same problems. And having someone to just be like, yeah, I've had the same problems, just really helps a lot. And you're like, damn, now I feel less lonely. And I've also found like healthy ways to cope with that trauma, you know, healthy ways to overcome that shit. And because I've found healthy ways, I've helped other people find healthy ways to cope with their shit. So I'm like, maybe that shit happened to me for no reason. But it doesn't mean like that I have to make nothing out of it. You know what I mean? Like, that shit was bad and it was just objectively horrible. But now I could cause so much good and I could help so many people because of all the bad shit I went through, you know? So now I'm like, if I could choose any other past, I would choose this one, which is kind of easy for me to say because I already lived through it. So like now I don't have to live through all that abuse and shit anymore. But like, if I could change something about my past and about my previous like being, I don't think I would anymore. Because that shit was hard. Like, now I'm able to do so much good because of this hard shit I went through. Look at this tree trunk motherfucker. This guy's an absolute unit. Holy shit. but I'm able to like help people now and shit because of like all the hard shit I went through. So what I'm trying to say is like the bad shit is there for no reason. I don't think there's a reason for bad shit. Look at this Carlos motherfucker. I love him. I don't think the bad shit's there just to like have a reason, or the bad shit's not there just to be like, yo, you should die and that's why the bad shit's happening to you, and like it's just there to test you or whatever. Nah, man, I think the bad shit just happens because bad shit happens, and sometimes that's how it be. And but that doesn't mean that you have to let the bad shit control you, you know? Does that mean I still didn't win? Okay, I won, right? Yeah, now I could swim. Fuck yeah. But something that I've learned is like, because of all that bad shit and because all that shit happened to me, I'm able to help so many people, and that's beautiful. That's truly beautiful. You know what I mean? And that's Taoism, baby. The bad things are there for a reason. You know, death is scary. Like, death is like one of the scariest motherfuckers out there. Like, you look at him and you're like, this is just objectively a bad thing, you know? And you're like, why the fuck is there so much death? Why the fuck is just so many bad things just happening in the world all the time? And who the fuck knows, man? What is okay, I thought the world was just gonna continue without me. That's how it be sometimes though. And you're like, there's just gotta be like no objectively good way to explain all this. Like, yo, God, where you at? Why all these bad shit happening? And I don't know about your religious beliefs, but I think that like just because bad shit happens doesn't mean it has to happen for a reason. Sorry, I was scratching my nose. My little duck almost died. Oh my god, I need to scratch my nose so badly, but there's so much death everywhere. Okay, we got the nose scratching. Let's go, boys. But like, that's fucked up that I didn't collect that coin. Like, so much bad shit just happens all the time, but it doesn't mean it has to defy you. And you could I think the way to defy that bad shit, you know, is just to be like, fuck you, I'ma be happy. And that's what we call absurdism, boys. The ideal that like all this bad shit, there's no reason for it, but defying that shit and just doing a little dancey dance, and people are like, why the fuck you dancing? There's no reason for it. I'm like, there's no reason for anything, but this dancey dance makes me happy, so I'm gonna do my little dancey dance, I'm gonna sing my little song, and I'm gonna be happy because fuck you. That's why I've been so sad for so long, and that's why I'm fucking happy now. Alright, bitch? Alright. And that's absurdism, baby, and that's what I like a lot, because it's like, you know, nihilism, I get it, man. If you're nihilistic, I was too, man. I was nihilistic my whole life. I was like, this shit's hard and I want to die. And, you know, that's how it be sometimes. But then sometimes you're like, this shit's hard, let's do a little dancey dance. Let's appreciate the fucking duck game. You see this duck, he's swimming, he's running about, he's doing his little dancey dance. We're doing my little dancey dance together. And that's what I like about life, you know? Like, none of this shit has meaning, so I could play this duck game and not feel fucking guilty about, like, wasting time. And then I could do my little dancey dance, and people are like, why are you doing your little dancey dance? I'm like, cause I'm fucking dancing, and I'm fucking happy, and you wish you could be this happy, bitch, but you can't, because you have so many problems, but I'm just doing my little dancey dance. What's the point of a dancey dance? And that's something I've been thinking about a lot, you know? And, there's this homie, Alan Watts, I've been listening to him a lot, and he's like, yo, what's the point of music? What's the point of dancing? Nothing. You're just there to do your little thing, have a good time, and then fucking it ends, you know? And if there was a point to it, and if there was like an end to it or whatever, the best musicians would rush to the end, you know? Be the best songs would be like one note, and it would be like dong, and then that would be it. Fuck! I pressed a button. That's fucked up. It would be like dong, and that's it, you know? But that's not how fucking life works, you know what I mean? The best musicians, they're just doing their little thing. They enjoy themselves, and, you know, that joy, that's what makes the best musicians. The dancey dance boys, they just let loose. They express themselves. There's no reason why a dancey dance man does the little fancy dancey dance in his pants, you know what I mean? He's just doing it because he enjoys that shit. And then we look at that and we're like, that's some sick fucking dance moves, and we enjoy that shit. What's the reason? Who knows? Now the amount argues that life is just a little dancey dance, and you just do your fancy little dancey dance. And I think about that a lot, you know? Just doing shit because you enjoy it. You know? What's the meaning? Who the fuck knows? Just do a little dancey dance and defy everyone that thinks otherwise. You know what I mean? I've been thinking about that a lot. And this video game is my dancey dance. And I think life is just a video game. You know? You just play it for a bit, and it gets over. What's next? Who the fuck knows? But right now I'm just playing this little video game. Because, you know, when you think about it, sickness, that shit hurts, man. That shit hurted. The other day, I had a really, really bad tummy issue. I had a really, really bad tummy virus. Shit was fucking hurting real bad. Like, I was pooping my pants all the time for like 2 days straight. I was like, oh my god, this is so painful. And at the moment, that was like the worst thing in my mind, you know? That was the worst thing ever. But then it passed. I was like, cool. Now I could do my little dancey dance again, you know? And that shit hurt. But in reality, it's just physical. And sometimes the Buddhist boys, they're like, something we gotta acknowledge is that the mental battle is just as physical as the physical one, you know? You gotta survive, put fucking food on your plate for your family and all that good shit. But you also gotta make sure you're mentally okay, you know? Because something I think is wild is like, if you're stressed and if you're not mentally okay, your physical health will get you sick and you will not be okay. And you just gotta make sure you're mentally doing well. You know what I mean? You gotta conquer both the physical and the mental in order to be peak human. So sometimes you get sick and you're like, fuck you, I'm not gonna get sick. This shit's gonna pass in a day. And then you realize shit's okay, you know? And then sometimes you're going through a hard mental battle and you realize this shit's fucking hard. I lost a loved one. And you might not be okay for a hot minute. You might be just overcome by grief for like months, maybe years on end. But eventually, you can continue doing your little dancey dance and shit will be okay. And I think about that a lot. You know what I mean? And I don't know what else to talk about, so I think I'm gonna end it here. But I wanna buy the bling first. All right, let's get this dude. Yeah. Oh, do I not? I don't have enough. I don't have enough money for the bling. That's actually truly unfortunate. I was gonna end the video with me buying the bling, but I don't have enough to do my fancy dancy pants and my dance in my bling. So this is actually very sad, and I think I'm gonna cry now. I'm gonna go and fucking cry.